Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us all here today. Today's shiur should be Le'ilu Nishmas, our dear friend Menachem ben Yisrael Yaakov, as well as my dear aunt Rivka Bas Gavriel Tzvi, and for Zaidi, Reb Shmuel ben Yosef Dov HaKohen, and B'schus l'Refuah Shalema Bakarov, Meshalem ben Sarachel, Miriam Bas Sarah, and Yair Yeshia ben Chaya Atara. Today we'll also add one name, especially for today. His name is Naftali Tzvi ben Rachel, L'Refuah Shalema, for a gentleman, a friend of mine who's having a triple bypass surgery today. Should be a zchus. All right, today we are on page 287 in the Ora Vigda, for those who are following along. And today we're going to finish off talking about this topic about the three pillars of doing a mitzvah, an avera, or an action. Right? So you have the idea part, you have the thought process and the planning, and then you have the action item, which is doing the mitzvah or the avera. And today we're going to kind of understand how they differ when it comes to having bitachon to things that are avodas Hashem, so like what the Torah tells us, like mitzvahs, and then how they differ in regards to choosing an occupation or choosing a doctor or a method to do something that's not related to avodas Hashem, so a worldly matter. But before we get into that, he talks about over here the reward for wanting to do good. It says, "Ve'im yizdamnu hasiba," said if the means of carrying out a person's good intentions becomes available to you. So we spoke about before that all you need to do really is have the thought process, right? You want to do it. That was the theme yesterday, is that you need to have the will and want to do good, to do avodah, to do mitzvahs, to do all those things. And you get schar for that, even though you don't carry it out, because carrying out the action item, that's not in your control, and that's where we need to have trust in Hashem, that Hashem is going to help us do that. But now let's say Hashem gives you that ability. So the physical ability, the monetary ability, whatever it is, Hashem gives you the ability to actually carry out that mitzvah. And it becomes possible to carry out the act of avodah that he had previously decided to do in his mind. So when you planned on doing that mitzvah, the opportunity presented itself and you got it done. There will be great reward for you in three areas: for having wanted to do it, and for having intending to do it, and then for actually completing the mitzvah that you started out with. So you get schar in three different areas if you are so lucky that Hashem gives the opportunity to carry out that mitzvah. And what is super interesting over here, and I want you to think about this twist over here. When you give tzedakah, when your child is with you in shul, and we do this very often when our kids are with us, and someone comes around to collect money, we give our child $1, and when the child gives the tzedakah, who gave the tzedakah? The child got the tzedakah to give to the person. It's not really his money, right? I want you guys to understand something. When you carry out a mitzvah, when you actually get the opportunity, you're lucky enough to fill out that mitzvah, who did that? At the end of the day, it's Hashem gave you the $1, Hashem gave you the ability, He gave you the time, He gave you the mental fortitude to carry out the mitzvah that you want. That's what Hashem did. So at the end of the day, it's not even your money that you're giving away. It's not your time, it's not your physical or mental fortitude that you're giving away. It's Hashem. You are just like the child that's with his father in shul. The father gives him the $1 to give to the person collecting money. And that's really what it is at the end of the day. So I want you to understand that even though at the end of the day, you still get schar, and that's the mind-blowing part over here. You, as the child, get schar for giving that $1, even though Hashem just gave it to you right now. He said, here, give it to the collector. It's amazing that you get schar for thinking about it, you get schar for planning, and you get schar for giving it, even though it wasn't your money. You took it from Hashem's pocket, and you gave it to the guy who's collecting money. You got all the credit for all three areas, and that's one of the most beautiful things that we realize over here when it comes to doing mitzvahs. It's not even our mitzvah, really. It's like Hashem just gave it to us to pass it along, yet we still get the schar for just being the middleman over there. And he goes further to say, but if despite your good intentions, his limbs are prevented from carrying out the act, so you're not physically able to or monetarily able to, at the end of the day, there will be reward for choosing and intending to do what's right. As we have mentioned in the preceding discussion, the same is true regarding punishment for the Avera. Now, if you intend to do something good, Rabbi Victor Miller says, you're going to be rewarded even though something happened in the middle. So like when you went out to do something, whatever happened in the middle, that's not your problem. And we say this every single day. And what he wants to drive home over here, one of the points. Every single day, by the end of Shemona Esrei, we say, Yeh ratzon sheyibana beis hamikdash. May it be your will that the beis hamikdash be rebuilt. What he's trying to say, and we spoke about this yesterday, I want you guys to think a little bit more about that pasuk when you daven tonight, tomorrow. Why? Because Yehi ratzon, it should be your will. As long as it's your will, and you really have that in mind, have the kavanah when you daven, that it's your ratzon, your will to rebuild the beis hamikdash. Because why? Because as long as it's your will and you want to do it, you will get schar for that. Yes, unfortunately, it's very difficult for us. Right now, it's almost impossible for us to rebuild the Beis HaMikdash, right? The time is not right. If we went out there ourselves to do it, it's not going to happen, most likely. But you have the ratzon. Our dear friend Dudi Richter would say, all you need to have is the ratzon, right, Dudi? So as long as you have the ratzon, you get the schar for the outcome as well. That's the point that he wants to make over here. Now, before we finish over here today, bitachon in man is outside of avodas Hashem. I want to touch on just over here. Then we're going to, on Monday, mitzvah, we're going to get into the exact comparison. But high level, when it comes to bitachon in man is outside of avodas Hashem, meaning your job, or looking for a doctor, or looking for help from somebody, making the right choices, how that differs is, we just said when it comes to a mitzvah, Hashem already told us, do this. This is a mitzvah, do it. This is an Avera, refrain from doing that Avera. So, therefore, in the first two parts, in the choosing aspect parts of that, we don't have the Bechira portion. We can't say, I have trust in Hashem to steer me in the right direction. That's wrong. Hashem already steered you in the right direction. The text says, don't do this Avera, do this mitzvah. So we already know it. The only thing we can have trust in Hashem is in the outcome. When it comes to worldly matters, over there, what happens is, I don't know which doctor is right. There's no text that says go to Dr. A versus Dr. B. I don't know what job I should get myself to work on getting. I don't know what business or industry I should get myself into. And therefore, over there, it's a little bit different with the trust in Hashem and the bitachon you need to have. Over there, you're davening to Hashem also to make the right decision. Whereas opposed to the mitzvah Avera, you can't daven to Hashem to make me make the right decision to do the Avera or to refrain from doing the Avera or to do the mitzvah. And that's what we're going to get into on Monday. But before we get into that, something very interesting someone told me just yesterday. We see this week that when Yaakov Avinu was born, Esav comes out first. He's the Bechar. And Yaakov Avinu is holding on to the foot of Esav to come out. Why? What does it say over there? Mepharshim say? The reason is because he holds on to the foot of Esav because he wants to be the Bechar. He's trying to be first. It's a little silly. He's out already. By the time his leg comes out, and Yaakov Avinu is holding on to it, Esav is already out. So he's automatically the Bechar. What is he trying to accomplish? Important lesson. And this is something that falls nicely with what we spoke about this week. Yaakov Avinu had the intent. He wanted to do it. Obviously, he can't make it happen because at the end of the day, that's up to Hashem. He did his part also. He did his ashtadlus. I held on. I'm trying to fight my way, claw my way to the front. Hashem didn't want me to be the firstborn. That's fine. But he never gave up. He still had the intent. He still had the will. He still had the ratzon, like Dudi would say, to be the Bechar. And what happens? Later on in life, he gets sold the Becharis and it happens. Important lesson for all of you guys. I know things get very difficult in every aspect of our lives. But the lesson, if there's one thing we can learn from this week, is don't give up. At the end of the day, if you keep at it, sometimes Hashem gives you that big hug, that big kiss, and gives you exactly what you asked for. Even though you might have to go through a long periods of time of tumultuous turmoil, difficulties. At the end of the day, you held on, Yaakov held on to Esav's foot. I want to be the Bechar. I get it. I didn't come out first. But I'm going to keep at it because that's what I want. And he kept at it, and he kept at it until he found that right opportunity. And it took one moment, one bowl, small bowl of soup or porridge, whatever that was, and he made it happen. We have to just wait out for that one moment. And I'm going to tell you, I've told you this guys before. I'm talking to myself. You guys are listening to me just because you're here and you logged in. But we need to wait for that one moment in time where Hashem gives us that one bowl of soup, and that's the entire B'chayres. The entirety of our life is going to come out of that. Thank you, everyone, for joining us all here today. Have a wonderful, a beautiful Shabbos. And as always, I love each and every one of you.